What is going on, Governors? Chiscool here, and today we've got an epic matchup lined up for you. We are going to be casting the JWM versus SNO lineup, the battle for the top four, one of two remaining matchups that we have on the day for the realm of Horus. This promises to be a very exciting matchup. And joining us soon, once we enter into the game, will be none other than the extraordinary Dragothian. The two of us will be casting this matchup together. You're not going to want to miss a thing, so strap yourselves in, get some popcorn, because this is going to be exciting. Now, if you thought, oh gosh, whoever's got the most power, they're definitely going to win, think again, my friends. If we look in on the matchups from earlier today, some pretty exciting and very close scores on the board for both Rose and UCS. 1008 versus K374. Welcome, friends. Good to see you all here in the Rose versus UCS matchup. And let me switch views here. Let's go to what you all thought was going to happen. You can see over here, based on the distribution of Oryx, that people favored UCS, who, by the way, has substantially more power than Rose. Rose emerged victorious in the matchup of 1008 versus 374. 374 emerged victorious despite having lower power. So if we look in at what's about to happen here, we're covering JWM, who is known to be a powerhouse kingdom. They've made it to the finals in both Ark of Osiris Season 1 and 2. And now they're really vying for the prize in Season 3. But Snow, underdogs by power, have more than enough power to get the job done. Will it be enough in the matchup that we're casting today? Tough to say. We're also, after that matchup concludes, going to cover what took place in the HKL versus OV matchup, which should be really impressive as well. In that matchup, you've got the Season 1 champion in OV battling the Season 2 champion in HKL. Exciting matchups taking place very, very soon in Ark of Osiris League, so hold on to your Oryx, people. They are going to fly in ways you might not have expected. Now, how close might this matchup be? Drop it into the chat. Drop it into the chat if you don't mind. How close you think this matchup is going to be? What is the point differential going to be? And hey, if you watch me or Dragothian on our channels, do a quick shout out in the chat. Love to hear from you. Let us know you're here. I recognize a whole bunch of folks. Gecko Gaming, Roro, EQ, Tedster, Levy, and more. Regulars from the channel hanging out here. Great to see you. This matchup is going to begin in literally a matter of minutes and then seconds. And when that happens, we'll jump right into it. Dragothian will be joining us at that time. Again, we're covering the JWM Snow matchup, which promises to be a good one. There's a lot to talk about in this particular matchup. One of the most powerful players in the game by power is in JWM. That is, of course, Baba. A crowd favorite Baba. But one player can only bring 5 marches. It's teamwork that will win the Ark of Osiris. So how will that go for JWM? Third time contending toward the top. Looking in at the overall schedule and bracket here, worth keeping in mind that the winner of this matchup will battle against K374. And the winner of the OV-HKL matchup will battle against Rose. That will lead to an epic finals. All of that covered on the channel. So if you haven't already subscribed, now is a great time to smash that subscribe button. Throw a like on the video, because this is going to be an exciting channel to cover the hot Ark of Osiris action as soon as it happens. So if I back on out here, we should be able to jump into the match. In fact, we can. Let's head on over to the match.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the second match of the afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. We're glad to go ahead and bring this next matchup to you on the live and local Rise of Kingdoms channel here. This is going to be a good one. Like Chisco said, I think we're going to see some heavyweights battling it out. It's going to be one that you're going to want to pay attention to every second of the way. I'm curious to see if JWM is going to go ahead and switch up any kind of tactics. We've seen them for, like Chisco said, 2 full seasons. And when I say full seasons, I mean full seasons. They have made it to the finals 2 seasons in a row, but have come up just short. Let's see if maybe they throw a little something different at Snow, who has also been making a few changes in these last few weeks. Chisco, what do you think we're going to see as JWM and Snow start to clash here when the arc spawns in the middle? I'm curious to see myself what the changes that they may have for us in store.
You know, it seems to be a couple tactics emerging as the most dominant. One of them seems to be aggression. Aggression on the inside lane, where the altar and shrine of war are, pushing through from one structure to the other, swinging around the pack, making your way to the arc. It does seem like teams are playing more of an arc game now, and we're watching something really interesting happen on screen, actually. Snow looks like they had a special order that they were bringing people into the battlefield there, and then decided to bail on that order as it was getting close to the finish line and said, okay, everybody in. All their players porting into the battlefield here. That's a tactic, by the way, that is used to control where each player will be upon entry, which I think is pretty interesting. It's something we've seen players doing at the upper end of gameplay, and a huge part of the reason for that is actually the start of the battle, right, Dragothian?
That's exactly right. And I was just going to mention that as you were explaining this. So the reason they hold off is the primary teleporters are the ones that are going to be on the back. There's no need for them to be up front. They're not sending out marches. They're not sending out fast cav to capture obelisks. And with just over 5 seconds left for this match to start, this is exactly what we look to see at the top end, the cream of the crop, right? We've got a huge matchup with JWM being the biggest alliance in the game, basically, against Snow, a scrappy upstart, not upstart, but you know what I mean, right? They are here. I think this is probably the deepest that they've gone into the playoffs before. They may have made it to the round of 8. And as this match starts, you start to see all of these marches pour out and kind of play it out exactly how we just said. The folks that are in the back are the ones teleporting. The folks in the front are the ones pouring out every single army they've got. Let's see where they go on the battlefield, Chisco.
Yeah, I mean, this part of the matchup, I feel like a broken record, but it's important to say you control the first few minutes of the battle. There's no clash with the enemy. It's all about executing your plan with no interference. So we should see them very, very rapidly using tier 1 troops and cavalry with mobility talent trees to make their way to the structures, fast capping those, including the obelisks to get their teleports being absolutely critical to gain position on the battlefield, and the outposts, which are not worth the most points in the world, but are worth a cool 30 points per minute and 80 for the first occupation.
Yeah, and when you say that, it kind of brings up what we started really bringing into the fold last match, which was, yeah, each outpost is 30 points per minute, which is not that great. But when you think about them as a whole, right, those 3 outposts are kind of, in my opinion, one building. I know that they're 3 separate ones and you can capture them separately and defend them separately. But when you capture one, there's a good chance that you may capture 2 or 3. And when you add all that up, that's 60 or 90 points a minute, which basically brings that set of 3 buildings into the second rank when it comes to points per minute in this game. And it's not just a one-faceted game, but that certainly is going to help. People are going to really start to look at adding more and more ways to disrupt the point generation from an outpost perspective. And I think we've seen that just go quite often lately. People sending 1, 2, 3 marches into the back lines, not only to disrupt the provisioning, but also to go ahead and snag maybe an outpost or 2 to stop that point generation.
Yeah, well, on the topic of outposts, all outposts now captured, and that point generation gearing up to start ticking for both teams. 3 minutes remaining on the final obelisks to flip over to convert to scoring points. And for those of you new to the Arc of Osiris, you do take a structure, and then it takes 3 minutes before it converts over to start giving you those crucial points. So now that both teams have flawlessly executed at the start of the battle, I'm feeling pretty confident about how well they're performing moving into the next phase, which is going to be a push for the next tier of structures. That is the altars and the shrines of war and life. Now, look, for teams at this caliber, the Shrine of Life offering 25% healing speed, that's really not all that compelling, is it?
It's really not. I mean, a lot of the major teams, and again, when I say major, I mean the people that make it deep into the playoffs, they've just got that's part of the criteria is just having enough troops to throw around without having to necessarily heal. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just a little costly. And when you're talking about different pieces of this game, not just being Arc, which is really turning into the premier piece of this game, the Arc and the Osiris platform and things like that. But you've got KBK, you've got just battles in the open field. There's invasions happening in kingdoms lately. I mean, there's just a lot of fighting going on, which is amazing, and I love that part of the game. That's the best part. But when we're talking about in this form, you need to understand you either need to have enough troops to not have to heal, or you need to bring a healthy amount of healing speed ups to go ahead and keep your ability to fight alive. And speaking of that, we've got one extra rally left besides the two normal occupying rallies for each side, and that one's heading to the JWM obelisk on the left side bottom lane of the map. I'm curious to see if it breaks or if it goes ahead and keeps on going, Chisco.
Yeah, it's so unusual that we see only one rally here, so both teams conceding the offensive play of using a rally to convey troops downfield, with the exception of Snow moving one march of infantry. JWM, however, starting to prowl forward on the bottom side of the Ark of Osiris map, that inner lane, moving toward the Desert Altar through the Shine of War. That classic play that I described earlier.
Exactly right. And it looks like this rally ended up being just a let's get some infantry at our Desert Altar rally, which is a great idea because a lot of times you got 30 seconds left for this Desert Altar to come in. And if you're marching from the back or even the middle of that teleport time, you're basically just starting to arrive with maybe your army that's got Charles in it that's maxed out, or maybe Alex that's in it because they have movement speed buffs. But if you've got a Richard Leo or something like that where they just don't have any movement speed whatsoever, they're still crossing the outpost mark. And as you can see over here, you've got Go Kubi Khan, you've got Monk, you've got Bebop Hero. They all started marching at the beginning, and they're just arriving. But look at JWM. They've got so many marches here ready to go, and I guarantee you there's a rally right behind it.
Yeah, that Desert Altar narrowly captured by the folks in Snow. JWM, great aggression there. Building missing. There it is, flipping over. Shrine of Life, turning to the favor of Snow. So the board looking relatively even. However, huge pressure on that Desert Altar. And look at that. Is that a Richard I captain? A bold choice.
Bold choice is an understatement. Richard Primary, not even to boot, just Richard in there, but Richard Primary. I wonder what the secondary is. If it's Richard Zenobia, I actually don't mind it at all. But look how much damage that building is taking. That means that there's not much inside the actual structure because there's not really much hitting that structure. So there's plenty of people here. Frost Queen kind of supervising a little bit, just directing people where to go and keeping her army stationary. You've got people coming out from the bottom area from their cities going ahead and pouring in support of what is guaranteed to be multiple rallies firing off. There's Divine Aid by JWM. I'd imagine to see that again on Snow's side here in just a moment. Let's see if they decide to use that.
I will say, Divine Aid, one of the most commonly used Ark of Osiris skills, borderline mandatory for the 5 extra teleports afforded to your team. And teleporting in just gives you such a profound advantage. I wonder what card they have up their sleeve that they haven't cast Divine Aid. Constantine now captain as well.
Good. Yeah, I was about to just say that. So they switched to Constantine. That's a good switch, especially when we're talking about they're swarming right now. There's not really a rally yet, although it should be. Yep, here it comes from Box. It's about 30 seconds away. They need to do some work here. Snow needs to put some pressure on. They do have Zenobia now, actually, with Constantine in that Desert Altar, which is a fine example of how to destroy an Attila Takeda rally when you have people around to support the garrison defense. I want to see a couple things here. So first off, we just talked about Divine Aid. They haven't used it yet. And so something to think about. They did just adjust the rules where you start out with 3 skill points when you start the match. That means that you can hit Divine Aid at the very beginning of the match instead of having to wait for those 3 points to generate. Maybe they hit it a little earlier. I didn't notice, but I'm only seeing one. Well, no, I take that back. There's 7 on the bottom side. And yeah, they've used it. They used it early. So they used it before we even noticed it.
Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense. So now we see that rally is hitting that Desert Altar. And to your point earlier about Zenobia, she's just really built for this situation. She heals 2 nearby marches, gives them a bunch of extra buffs as well. And that solo rally here, tragically timed, is getting melted down. And all these snow marches left over here are going to have an opportunity to move into the center. 4 minutes, 20 seconds remaining until the center becomes contestable. However, moving to the Shrine of War. A lot of pressure on that Shrine of War. Rally plus 3 marches doing some work there.
Yeah, we might see the garrison defenders become the main determining factor here, because I'm looking on the back line for JWM on their side. Every single garrison is led by Zenobia. That's critical. That means Snow might need to change their tactics when it comes to what they're sending, because Zenobia is beatable, but you got to send skill damage with heavy swarm. That's the only way to really crack the nut of Zenobia. And if you continue just to send Attila Takeda, it's basically like sending a rally that's just there to take some damage while you're swarming, because it's just not doing the damage that you need it to do.
However, I'll jump in and say
there it is.
Zenobia the Unconquerable conquered at that desert altar, man. And part of what I would attribute that to is a lot of Guan Alex's. There was a Ramses there as well. So Zenobia does some massive healing, but you can reduce that healing substantially. JWM making their way to the middle, and red marches coming around the back from Snow. This is going to be a big contest in the center, don't you think?
Yeah, this is heating up really fast. And yeah, just as I said that, 2 altars drop, both with Zenobia's in them. The Sky Altar on the backside for Snow falling, and now the Shrine of War falling. Now they're taking it back. This is heating up very quickly, Chisgul. I can imagine what this middle fight's going to look like. They're already pouring in, like you said. They're starting to put up their lines where we're going to be. Bebop hero, living up to his name, trying to be a hero, and then kind of pulling back a little more, understanding where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, I've got that zoomed out view right now, in part trying to illustrate that, like, oh my gosh, Snow outnumbers them 2-1 with a pincer maneuver here that they just got to execute. Yeah, there it goes. They are really executing cleanly. Keep in mind, Snow owns 3, count them, 3 altars, and they're crushing in the center with a pincer maneuver. Oh, this is scary if you're in the seat of JWM.
It is, and you're looking at, if you look at the points per minute, they're up by 70 points per minute are Snow, and that's going to maintain for a while, because they've not only got the middle kind of in good shape, but like you said, 3 altars, that's, if nothing else, not counting points towards JWM's total. That's really all it takes sometimes. You don't have to keep it, you just have to take it. And right now, JWM did just take their own altar back there, evening it back up at 2-2. But at what cost? We've got the altar for Snow on the top right side also blinking and getting swarmed down, trying to go back towards Snow's side. In the middle, though, look at this fight. We see fireworks going off everywhere. I'm curious to see which other skills might be used. I saw some attack and defense buffs pop off.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if this gamble pays off for Snow, because Snow is now losing all that ground they gained. They did take 1 altar back just now, so they're looking even on that game. Shrine of War, however, owned by JWM, both of them, which is going to give some cool buffs as well. Nice swing of buffs. 10% total going from one side to the other, so a 20% delta. It's not insignificant. However, I think that they are forfeiting a bit of the structure game to go for this arc.
They are, and with this Shrine of War for what's supposed to be Snow on their side, being held by a decently garrisoned Attila, they're not going to get that stat buff anytime soon. And JWM, for being outnumbered or pincered or whatever the situation ends up being, they are well known for having a solid mid-open field fight setup. They just send people packing, and you can kind of see that in the middle right now. And you just see sad faces on the red team just steadily streaming back one after the other, and a lot more of that happening for Snow than it is for JWM. So they may be able to go ahead and contain the presence here for the blue team, and maybe even grab this arc, even with the brilliant play that Snow was pulling off earlier.
Yeah, I mean, what's so fascinating about what's unfolding in the middle is that the folks from Snow had more marches, 2-1, in the center at the start of this. But JWM, it seemed like, kept bringing more and kept bringing more and kept bringing more. And I think they might have evened out what's taking place in the center here, or even gotten the upper hand. And it looks like they're the only ones going for the arc. I see 0 Snow presence going for the arc, which has to be an oversight.
Yeah, it has to be. And whenever, and if I'm in this match, right, I'm screaming in my communication channel, forget the open field fights, go after the arc. And now that JWM has the arc and is moving, I add the carrier word to it. Go after the arc carrier. Tap that onk on the top left of the screen. Find out who's got it. Attack them right now. You have to drop that arc carrier right now. And Alex has it, and it is getting attacked because you can see not only the health bar going down, but you see Tamir's skill damage reduction that she does on that target as well. So now it's down. But yeah, you're right. JWM has the presence now. They have more than enough presence to grab this arc with relative ease. There's just nobody left from Snow. And with that being said, I'm looking at the rallies, right? It's relatively even still. 3 versus 3 rallies. There are 2 buildings that are blinking on the blue team, and they may lose the desert altar. There it goes. As soon as I grabbed over there, they took it right in front of it, and you grabbed that right on the cam too. That's fantastic. Let's see what the Shrine of Life is doing. It's about an even, but not supported.
Let me jump in and say that was a heavy flex in the center for JWM. Heavy flex, because they were outnumbered, but they were not outgunned. And I think what you're seeing is the commander's strength from JWM heavily weighing in on the outcome of that battle. And if you see how that all unfolded, and you see how the map is going right now, if you were in the shoes of Snow, you have to be thinking, okay, we have to outmaneuver them. We have to outmaneuver them. We keep taking structures successfully. We have to switch our game plan. We went in, thought we could do arcs, but now we know we have to win the structure game, and you could win that way. And that's what I would be thinking in their shoes based on how that first encounter went.
Yeah, I agree. And, man, if you end up capturing an arc and you are Snow, I would hold on to it as long as humanly possible to try and make sure that there's no more that JWM can snag from you, because JWM just showed what they do and what they always have done in the middle, which is just dominate. That being said, again, losing an altar is a big deal. That's 150 points per minute you're not going to get for at least 3 minutes. And really, we're talking more than that now, considering this is almost captured for Snow, and this will start ticking for Snow on the points game. This is going to be a multifaceted game. This is not going to be an easy, let's go smash this and we'll win this and this is how it's going to play. Every piece of the Ark of Osiris setup is going to be used to win this matchup.
But look how clean this execution is from Snow on structures, right?
Like
they're about to have all 4. They have all 4 altars. They have stolen underneath JWM's Zenobia Everywhere garrison situation all 4 critical point buildings. Each one of those, every single one of those, 150 points per minute, which if they could hold them, that's 600 points per minute.
That's huge. And not only that, right? So they just lost 1 back, but that's 600 points per minute for 3, 5, 6 minutes that they're not getting. That's a huge points total. That's half a provisioning score almost for an entire match. And I think this was Snow's strategy from the beginning. We talk about the first arc, right? The first arc is worth the least amount if you time it right, which I think is what Snow did, and you can kind of see it here. You can really take advantage of the fact that there are 20, 30, 50 armies that are not protecting these buildings, and that's exactly what Snow did. It looks like they're going to lose the Sky Altar again on the left side, but at the end of the day, I mean, shoot, it was worth it. That was a minute for the actual capture. Now they've got to capture another 3 minutes. That's 4 minutes of 150 points not ticking towards JWM. And like you said, that's 600 points they just missed out on by losing that building. And it was 2 of them. So you times that, you're looking at 1,500 roughly after the couple minutes on the other building. And now you're talking about that arc. Instead of it being a 3,000 point arc, it only is about 1,500 points. And you got the initiative.
Yeah, we got snapped out of the match for just a second there. We're back in to see the arc carrier hanging out. Hanging out. Now, look, if you're JWM, I think this is not the right play.
Nope.
Not at all. They are so dominant in the field that I would say we take every arc, every time, every opportunity, and we out-muscle you every second of that way, because the coordination piece, JWM is not winning. Taking these buildings is a challenge of coordination that Snow is winning. And that's not an opinion. It's just looking at the building points. 210 right now per minute for JWM to the 590 of Snow.
That's exactly right. And we saw this on the last match that was on this channel. We saw Rose against UCS. UCS got the first arc and held onto it. And we commented at the end when Rose ended up winning that was a mistake. And we commented during it actually happening, like we just did now, and at the end when they lost. So I would love to see if this plays out in favor of Snow, and this would be a huge part of it. I think they're doing Snow a favor. Look, they just took the Shrine of Life as well away from JWM. This is not going structure game wise the way that JWM is familiar with. They're familiar with plugging solid garrison commanders with a couple players around those buildings and just holding them. They don't lose buildings. JWM is known for it. They take buildings. Well, this match, Snow is changing that game plan in a big way. They've lost structures galore, and not only do they have the arc, but that arc is not going to be as valuable now. I mean, they're already down 1,300 points, and they've lost another few thousand points because of the structures they're losing. They just got the Shrine of Life back. This isn't going to be as easy as I think JWM might have been thinking based off of previous matches with Snow.
Yeah, well, what I find so interesting also is that Snow is using that Zenobia garrison in a number of places. So it's not like Snow thinks that Zenobia is a bad choice and they're outmaneuvering Zenobia because she's a bad choice. They're using Zenobia. So Snow thinks it's a good garrison, but they're outmaneuvering JWM and taking these structures. But on the topic of outmaneuvering, JWM on the outside lane here, few marches sort of jumping forward a little bit there to protect the Sky Altar. Eager to see how this unfolds. However, that amount of swarming looks pretty rough.
It is a lot. And Zenobia, if there is one knock against her, she is open to swarming. You see Guans there, which are starting to silence some of those skills and get them a little bit delayed. And if Zenobia is not firing her skills off, well, guess what? She's not doing Zenobia things. So you've got a Ramses there as well. You mentioned it earlier, Chisco, the combination of a Ramses. There's an Artemisia there. There's an Edward there debuffing. There's two Guans going ahead and alternating those silences and making sure that it's very difficult for those skills to fire off. This is how you take down a Zenobia altar, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's hanging on by a thread, but not for much longer. Reinforcements desperately making their way in, back to the yellow. Getting swarmed down by multiple Guans, Leos, Alexes. We do see that there was a Ramses, that Ramses march getting knocked out. Very intelligent maneuvers by the folks in red, taking out the Ramses to prevent that healing disruption. And I think this garrison hangs on by a thread. Truly by a thread.
That's really all it takes, right? I mean, we always love to say, okay, so just keep the garrison maxed. It's no big deal, right? Well, it is a big deal because these guys are getting pummeled on the field. They're losing troops left and right. All you need sometimes is just that little bit extra, and that's what really kind of helped Snow hold on to this structure. It looked a little dodgy there for a second because JWM had such a presence with Snow kind of scrambling to throw some reinforcements that direction. Now, I'm interested to see if having to direct so many troops this way, I saw a rally going by heading towards the Shrine of Life for the JWM side. I'm wondering if they're going to go ahead and take these armies that are here at the Sky Altar now and move them forward in support of that rally.
Yeah, that rally now connecting. I do think, wow, Snow controlling all outposts. Remember when you said you think of those as one building? Yep. How many points is that? It's 90 per minute, right?
It is.
But it's not just 90 per minute, right? Because it's 90 per minute that Snow is getting that should have been going to JWM. It's a 180 point delta. So yes, it's 90 per minute, but the impact is double.
That's correct. And they're about to get captured too. There's a minute and a half, and 2 seconds on one. So you're going to see it pop up here shortly. There's one. You're going to see about 30 seconds. You'll see another one, and then another 45 seconds. You'll see the third. You're going to see about a 700 point per minute score total for Snow. And if we look at where the arc is, it's still kind of camping out. Just be holding on to it by his city. That's one army not doing anything but holding an arc. I'm just not sure what the play here is because they're down. If they were up and they couldn't hold the field like we talked about earlier, then yeah, this makes sense. You don't want to have to fight in the middle and you're winning the structure game. Well, that's not what's happening here. Snow is throwing their weight around and winning these structures, not just by sending the right rallies or having troops by. It's the timing, guys. It's the timing that's winning these matchups against JWM because they always have the brute force to hold off rallies. It's when they send that brute force in other locations, it's very difficult to revamp them in a place where you need them, and that's exactly where Snow is sending all of their firepower is to places where JWM's not.
Yeah, I mean, having been an underdog for quite some time, Snow knows that they have to be in the right places or they're going to lose to the overwhelming power that JWM brings to the battlefield here. And speaking of which, JWM, despite the astonishing Snow presence, muscles their way into that Shrine of War.
That's a little bit of a ball drop on Snow. I was just staring at that myself. There is no reason with all those troops there, even if it's only 4 or 5 players, you can alternate those in and out. I think the only thing that they may have had a problem with was actually clicking the garrison because of how many armies they have around that building, maybe covering up the clickable feature of the building itself. And now they're sitting there swarming it down. But JWM is steadily coming with some more and more armies. Now, I don't think they can actually get in, maybe, or I don't think they're just expecting to keep it, but that was 3 minutes now that they're going to lose that 80 points per minute that a shrine offers. Now, speaking of which, when we jump back up to the desert altar on the same lane, look at the JWM desert altar. It has a rally and swarm on it, and it is not looking good. They may lose this again, which is another big blow for JWM's point per minute total. This is going to be a big deal if JWM can't do it. I just don't see them being able to hold it. It's right there. It's going to drop.
Yeah, I mean, they must be scrambling to figure out why it is that they're struggling to hold some of these structures that, like, they've got the best garrison in the game, the Zenobia Theodora, but, like, gosh, you don't send help, that garrison's going down. And there, it has fallen again.
That's crazy. And there was help coming from JWM. It was just those few seconds, and we just talked about, right? The timing. The timing is everything. And you just need those few seconds to stop those reinforcements from coming in with a rally and swarm. You're going to be fine if you have the right timing down. It looks like Snow's got the timing on JWM pretty solid. You've got some of their bigger players here too, from Snow right up front with their Guans, with their Williams, with their Ginghises, with all of their big boy players, all of their maxed out commanders with really solid gear, holding the front line. That's 3 altars in favor of Snow right now. And I can't imagine, oh, there it is. As soon as I said it, I popped over there. There is a rally on the 4th altar. It was like clockwork. They've got support there. I see dead JWM marches going right beside it, away from it. This may be a problem again with 20,000 normal damage being inflicted on that altar every second.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ark of Osiris, yes, Rise of Kingdoms is a war game, but this game mode is a little bit of a logistics game. And one of the things that is true in the sort of logistics world is this idea of being just in time, right? Like, you have, like, yourself perfectly allocated in one place and then perfectly allocated somewhere else. Arriving to the garrison just in time is just right. And Snow has arrived just in time to save the Sky Altar from what seemed like impending doom in a way that JWM seems like they've not been able to do.
Yeah, Snow's been doing what JWM, I think, has been trying to do all game, which is be in the right place at the right time. It doesn't look like Snow's going to grab this Sky Altar on the left bottom lane of the map here, but the amount, well, here comes some more reinforcements.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
Snow
doesn't seem to halfway commit to what they're doing. They seem to have the right amount of commitment pegged down, right? Like just the right amount at just the right time. And, I want to call your attention to the presence of a Ramses here, fully uncontested by JWM right now, just doing work, preventing healing from the garrison. That's the one thing that garrison needs to do. You got a huge heal from Zenobia. It's getting fully stopped potentially.
Yeah, it's the Ramses, it's the Guans. And, I see JWM, they're doing one thing they are doing correctly as they lose that structure. They were using a Ramses on the Attila rally, which you don't really think about that being a huge thing because Cav take out archers relatively easily, and the swarm of Attila Takeda is just the worst kind of trade you can ever find in the game. However, like you said, Ramses debuffs healing, and a part of what makes Attila Takeda so powerful, it's not just the damage he puts out, but the fact that Takeda heals like a madman, and that will help. So that was a good piece that they did. However, again, now JWM's got to sit here and commit more armies over here. Snow has 3 of the 4 altars, either not ticking for JWM or ticking for their own point totals. 540 points per minute just go for Snow versus only 290. And they did capture the Ark of Osiris, did JWM. So now the match is even with maybe 100 points in favor of JWM. So now we got to see is the next arc going to be even better for them, or is Snow going to turn the strategy around and now they're going to get the heavy arc presence and they may take the arc?
Yeah, well, I will say strong offensive pressure from JWM led them to capture the Desert Altar and also the obelisk, curiously enough, on the bottom side of the map. I don't know if that was a ninja grab by a single march or there's more to it, but JWM now in the driver's seat for the structure game for what feels like the very first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's 100 points per minute for Snow going on right now, extra, so they're going to catch up. In fact, it's only a 13-point game right now in favor of JWM, but like you said, they did just lose a couple structures, and there is a Genghis inside of this obelisk that Swordless is trying to take down. It looks like it's just one march, but that was probably the march that was designated to go take the outposts or take some provisioners out when they're sitting there in the farms.
Yeah, knocking out 20 points per minute of score. Not the most score to be losing, but not nothing, right? At least 3 minutes of disruption, probably 4. I mean, you take 80 points here, 80 points there from the enemy. It seems worth.
This might be an 80-point game. That's how close this game is going to be. That might be the winning play. That's how amazing this game is. The
predictions here, live stream chat, drop into the chat how close you think this game is going to be. What's the point differential going to be? How many points between the winner and the runner-up in this matchup? I'm pretty eager to see how this is going to unfold. And hey, if you're enjoying the live stream, consider subscribing to the channel and throwing a like on the video. So we see Zenobia being assaulted again at the Desert Altar, although not nearly as much pressure this time.
Yeah, I was noticing that. And then you also, if you look at the bottom, for reinforcements coming from Snow, there just aren't any, at least not close enough, because they're sitting here defending what is a pretty sizable rally from JWM against their Shrine of War. And they had for a second an El Cid garrison sitting in there. So they're scrambling a little bit down there. That's delayed their timing. And you can tell the difference, right? When they are pressing their advantage, they've got people swarming this Desert Altar and they're on the offensive. Whereas right now, a little bit of a swap around here. JWM doing a little bit of a play from Snow and being the aggressors here. And again, JWM's familiar with that. They're comfortable with that. That's where they like to play. That's their wheelhouse. And with both Shrines of War being attacked right now, I don't think either one's going to go down, but I think the one for JWM is going to be a lot easier to defend. And maybe JWM will take this Shrine of War. I don't know. It's going to be close, but right now, people need to start looking at maybe starting to think about going to the middle at 5 minutes until this arc spawns, Jiskel.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's what I would do. This is, look, like we're commentators. It's easy for us to say what we would do rather than to actually do it. So allow us to pretend like it's easy for a moment. But what I would do, seeing all these marches from JWM, right, go to the center, I would let them have the arc. They're 5 minutes early. I would punish the structure game so hard if I was Snow right now. I would go all in, take all 4 altars, slam dunk the altars, not even close.
I think that's a solid play. I think the only thing that I would add to that, you have to have something there. You can't just let them have it for free, because those marches, once they see that there's nothing there and about a minute left, they're just going to leave. So unless you've taken and really taken advantage of the board for about those 3 minutes, it won't be for anything, because those marches are coming right back to the middle or right back to the sides. So you need to have something there for them to stay there for. That's where you really start. And I think that's what you saw with the first arc, right? They had a good presence in the middle with both sides, but they didn't reinforce very much. They didn't bring more after that. They made JWM heavily commit to the middle, and JWM got the arc, but then they basically held it for 10 minutes after capturing it, not to mention the armies that it took to actually get the arc and the time involved. That's where the win was for Snow, I think, was not just losing the arc and getting the structures, but making them have to earn it.
Yeah, we got a little CPO squad action going on the side of the screen here. CPO observing the battle, then deciding, okay, I'll get in the garrison. I think that you're right, Dragothian, that they can't leave the center fully uncontested. So does that mean that they pressure the inside lane, swing around the back to try to force JWM into action? I don't know. It just seems like such an opportunity to like say, hey, look, we win these structures with JWM fully trying the structure game. If they commit, a third of their troops somewhere else, oh my gosh, they should just take all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, and if you're looking at, I think you're looking at the Sky Altar right now in the top lane there. That is requiring a lot of snow troops. I think those troops would be normally pushing towards a building right now or being in the middle right now. And as we see the middle, right, we do see a snow presence forming up. They're doing the center pile up dance that has become kind of the norm now. I look to maybe see a fight to the death be dropped here. I haven't seen many skills be used for the last maybe 10 minutes. I think this has been saved up for the use of fight to the death, which is a very powerful skill that has been used in the middle as of late and has been used to big effect. HKL in particular has really kind of started to use that as their main fighting piece. The only downside is it's really only usable once per match. It's got such a long cooldown. You can't use it after you've used it once. So this needs to be, if you're going to use fight to the death, this needs to be your arc, or you will have wasted not only the opportunity to get that arc and its points, but also a ton of skill points for the Alliance. And here they come, Chisco. Let's see what happens.
I think it's bold. There's bogged down for JWM. That seems like a really weird choice to me. I don't quite understand that use of bogged down.
I do. So not only are the reinforcements going to be slower for a little while, but did you see the defense reduction that bog down does? It does actually reduce the defense. So you pop the bog down and you pop the Alliance skills. You see all those extra skills. I think that's fight to the death with the fiery.
Snow.
So Snow is pushing it hard, pushing it very hard. As you can see, there's sad faces going everywhere. So that's not looking good for Snow. Almost all of those were Snow.
I'm struggling with this maneuver because Snow did so well taking structures. And then they committed to the middle in what looked like a really even fight. And I'll tell you something. These skills are really good, Dragothian. But it's not going to make up the difference of how poorly that first fight went for Snow, where they were 2 for 1-ing in terms of volume of players and still lost. I think JWM is going to absolutely obliterate in the center here. I don't think any amount of those skills is going to make that difference up for Snow. And it feels like they're missing the opportunity to do the thing that they were acing. Not just doing okay at, but acing, which was taking all those structures.
Yeah, I think this was a missed opportunity, like you said. And as I'm looking around the map, trying to figure out if maybe Snow's got some things happening on the other side, it's not. They're in defensive mode. They're in full defensive mode. On the very bottom of the map, where the Shrine of Life is, there is a horde of JWM coming towards it, alongside of a rally right behind them. And this thing may just the rally might not even make it. They might just swarm this thing down. There's so many people over here. Snow scrambling for sure on the bottom side here, and with the arc now in JWM's possession with relative ease. I mean, Snow just got wiped in the middle. I never saw so many sad faces all at the same time in my life in this middle matchup. It doesn't look like JWM has lost a single march.
Yeah, I really don't know why they tried to do that. I get that they want to prevent JWM from just running free with the arc, but
there was an altar grab on the top side, so maybe it's a little bit of the same play.
I guess. It feels like there was such a huge opportunity here to go all in on the thing that's working for them instead of to double down on the thing that they're not able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they've got 3 altars right now, but everything's under contest right now, too. There's to the death.
For JWM, what an unusual placement of that.
That was Snow. JWM used their fight to the death, and Snow didn't, it looked like. That looked like it was done by Snow. I don't know what's happening right now. Because
maybe a little bit of delay from the... maybe a delay on the announcement of that.
Yeah, that might have been, because I remember both of them having that graphic.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay, so JWM taking the arc here. So I feel like the biggest favor JWM could do to Snow, or for Snow, is to just say, all right, let's just hold this arc again. Because yet again, Snow is still getting points per minute. Well, 440 to 590. I mean, you're right that it's effectively even, right? Like 150 points per minute is good, but not game changing. Although 20 minutes left. That's a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
it's not going to be
points.
that way forever. And I think what Snow's going to
Well,
try and do,
take another altar.
they do, and that's what I'm saying. So that what they're going to try and do is just keep the structures from generating too many points. They're going to just take it back, and then here, take it. We took it. It's easy to do. See, I just did it. You can take the arc. The thing is, I mean, if JWM had grabbed the arc and just took it to a structure right away, they would probably be capturing their second arc right now, or their third arc. I'm sorry, getting
That's
ready
right.
to capture their third arc instead of their second, and they would be on a 4,000 point arc with probably a 3,000 point lead right now. But instead, because they held it, and I don't see why they did that. There was just no, in my opinion, and maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm missing something blatantly obvious that none of us else are seeing. There's just no rhyme or reason for why they were holding it, and now they're taking it again on a tour of the countryside to the other side. I mean, they just want to kind of show the arc, kind of the map, maybe just kind of give the arc itself a little bit of a tour inside of their cities, just to show them what things look like. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. It just feels like a really critical miss to me that they're not seeing how insanely dominant they are in the middle. I don't know how you not see it. I don't think I've ever seen a middle go so
See dead
one-sided.
marches flying everywhere.
I mean, this is a top 8 matchup,
Yeah.
and like they it's not even close to in the middle. Like it's not even a competition in the middle. It's obliteration. They just take it and they say thank you, and they score points. Every arc is just free points for JWM, and I can't believe they're doing this the hard way.
You want as many of those as possible, right? Just go.
Yeah, they're just doing this the hard way. Which, like, okay, if they want to do it uphill and add a challenge level to it, they can.
They put it on like nightmare mode or hell mode for the game. What they did.
They are choosing to play this on the hardest difficulty by not seeing and honestly exploiting what feels like a really clear advantage in the observer's seat. Now, that said, look, like it's easy to observe, it's harder to play. That's certainly the case. And when you're in the match, it's not as easy to see these patterns.
Well, if you think that either one of these teams does not have an observer in their comms channel saying, "Hey, this is happening, you should do this," we're missing out on the bigger picture here. Like these teams both have players not in this match watching the match and saying, "Hey, you should be over here," or "In 5 minutes you need to be here, or else you're going to be out of luck." And with Snow using Valiant Stand here, it was a smart play in the Desert Altar on the bottom side. It allowed the garrison to stay up enough to where Snow could start bringing some more reinforcements over. And now that the rally's hitting too, the rally doesn't have the support it had anymore because of how strong that Desert Altar was. So that was very strong. And when I'm saying strong as well, now we've got Papa Pimp over here in the arc area smacking that guy around. Well, now Papa Pimp's getting smacked around.
He almost took that to the enemy obelisk.
I know.
Did you see he targeted it and then they reinforced it?
Yep, that was amazing.
He almost took that from their back line and scored it at the JWM obelisk. I don't know what louder and clearer memo JWM needs to get to consider just capturing this thing.
It might not be worth it to hold it, Chisco. It just might not be.
This is the second match I've cast in as many weeks where an arc was just hanging out in the back and it nearly went to the other team. Right? They've got it safe by the obelisk. They're like, well, these are our guaranteed points, right? Guaranteed. And like, no, not guaranteed until they're in.
Nothing's guaranteed in this type of matchup, Chisco. These are top 8 teams from the realm of Horus. Nothing is guaranteed. They're here for a reason. We do have, if we look in the back lines, because I was looking around to see provisioning, because that's going to be a thing later. JWM has a group of 3, count them, 3 armies running around trying to take these outposts in the back line. Now, this Charles is doing its job because all 4 of these armies are kind of just not doing anything. But it's interesting to see that they've got garrisons in these outposts. They do not want to lose these outposts. Conversely, there is 1 army, 2 armies on the back line of JWM kind of taking these outposts at will. So something to think about. They know they need to keep as many points going in favor of the red team And taking away as many points away from the blue team as possible does Snow. And I think that's the game they're playing. They're playing the long game. They're going to be doing a little bit of provisioning or a lot of bit of provisioning. They know they need to have about a $3,500 point gap made up because of this arc. And if they continue to keep this just goal, there's only going to be one left for them to capture. Now, they could technically keep it all the way, but again, I just don't get it, Chisco. I just don't get it. They should capture it right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're running out of time to be able to get multiple captures on arcs. And at this point, though, I think JWM is seeming to either get more coordinated or Snow to be less successful, or maybe a little of, both. Yeah, Snow starting to panic and JWM starting to get into a groove where, like, look, now JWM is taking structures, Snow is not. And it seems like JWM is getting into a stride where they might just be unbeatable now. 530 points per minute for JWM, 410 for Snow. It's starting to fall apart for Snow here.
A little bit. I still think that there's room for Snow to make this thing work. I do think that Snow needs to make some big moves, though. So we need to understand where we're at in the game, right? It's just over 13 minutes left. JWM has the arc. We're down. We're winning from a points perspective, but we're down points per minute, and we have to effectively understand that the score is 25,500, not 22,000 for JWM. That's the actual score with the arc the way it sits. So unless another big brain move happens and somebody comes over there and grabs the obelisk and the arc and captures it for Snow, they need to come up with something big because they just took their altar back, but now they just lost their Shrine of War. So now they're in the same boat. They need to go over there, grab that building back, and there is a heavy presence, Jiskel, of JWM coming down to that Shrine of War on the top lane.
Yeah, I do see all the JWM Reigns on their way to that Shrine of War. Snow really struggling to hold on to their structures now. I'm not sure what has so profoundly changed from the first half of the map, but they're really running out of steam.
I wonder if they've shifted a good chunk of their armies to start provisioning. It'd be so weird to say, wouldn't it? Like with 15 minutes left, our plan is instead of going and taking a bunch of structures, which right now they've lost almost the entire top lane, is Snow. Just pull back half of the fighting troops and start provisioning, and maybe that's an extra 4,000 points that they normally wouldn't have. That's an arc, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's enough points. I'm just trying to. I'm scrapping here. I'm grabbing for something because, like you said, Snow is kind of falling apart a little bit here.
Yeah, well, we know that they play logically, they play smart. So to your point, what might they be thinking is, I think, the right thing to be asking, because if I'm observing how, like, the first 5 minutes of this match went for them, I would think that we're still in the realm of going all in on structures and just outplaying, which is what they were doing for that structure game at the start, but not really anymore. I'm not sure what they're up to. The provisioning? I mean, we could see if they've got the provisioners, but I don't know.
I would take a peek. I think so. I know Snow is heavy in provisions. They provision, and I'm seeing a ton of caravans with red dots above them, and especially on the top lane there, right around the base area, almost every single caravan has a provision in it. And you've also got some more around the actual outposts. You've got more around the obelisks that are good to go. I mean, there's provisions still being sent out on the bottom lane. But it's all going to be for nothing if they lose all the structures generating points. I mean, it's just going to offset. And with a 3,500 point arc sitting in JWM's wings, although speaking of, they have the obelisk, does Snow. And if there was just one more march over there to kill the arc carrier, they could get it. But of course, how do you let this happen, JWM? This can't be a thing. You can't let one march come and take your obelisk. That's just not how this game works.
Well, like, look, I know we're being, like, pretty vocal about our observation of Snow structure game, but they are back taking 3 altars again.
They are, and people in chat, and I have a little insight into Snow before this match started, which is why I put some coins onto Snow. People are saying trust the process. It's hard to trust sometimes whenever you're staring at a map and you're losing all your structures, and the points per minute total is heavily favoring JWM, and you don't have an arc sitting in your pocket. However, I have seen firsthand, and I know you have too because you cast the game with me, I saw a 6,000 point bump at the very end just from provisions. So this is something that is definitely still in the back pocket. Now the question is JWM keeping up with those provisions? They usually are. They assign people just for provisioning. So let's see if they can cover the gap, which will inevitably happen once the provisioning game goes crazy. Because right now they have both Shrines of War, they have both of their altars, they've got their Shrine of Life, they've got 2 of their 3 outposts, and they now have both obelisks back as well. It's going to get a little dicey from a points per minute perspective with just under 9 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this matchup is at all close, given how well JWM so clearly dominates the middle. I mean, I almost want to say it's like they sort of throw their victory away, because if they just given themselves the opportunity to walk 2 arcs, like literally it was so straightforward for them. They go to the center, they take the arc, they walk it home. It was that easy for them. You know what I mean? It really was. Like with no offense to Snow, like that's what we saw. Like it's never been so clear that like those arcs are theirs.
Those were trouncings in the middle. We can call it what they were.
It just is what it is. And like I can't believe JWM opted to not have twice as many of those as they could have.
Again, I think everybody who kind of understands this kind of matchup, seeing the way that JWM is really able to basically take the field and just tell any other non-colored blue march to just go away with relative ease. I just don't understand the play here. They've probably lost 7,500 points. If this match is lost by less than 7,500 points for JWM, this was the one thing we can point back to, and this is what we did last time. The 13 UTC match was exactly the same thing. UCS lost a good chunk of that. The reason is because they did the same thing that JWM is doing right now, just holding the arc for no apparent reason. I mean, they can capture it right now, and there still won't be an arc, but they just haven't done it. That's one march that's not doing anything. It's not provisioning. It's not doing anything.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like sticking to a plan over adjusting to the situation, right? Like the plan is we're going to get the arc and hold it, and then they can't. Do you see what I mean? And so it feels to me like they're sticking to their plan, but not adapting to the reality of what they're doing here. And, you know, to quote a few famous generals, right? Like, right? Like, or maybe not even a general. How about we go with Mike Tyson, right? Like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Right? And like, dude, like that happened really fast, right? Like that trouncing in the middle the first time around, like, yeah, Snow felt it, right? Like, and JWM, because they delivered the punch, I guess didn't adjust the plan. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you prefer, I think it's Von Helmuth, the Elder, said something to the effect of no plan survives first contact with the enemy, right? Like
that makes total sense.
Snow had first contact, and they didn't get a second contact. You know, like that was so savage.
I mean, the amount of fighting in the middle, or the lack of, I should say, really, because it only lasted a very short time, almost disappointingly short, in the middle. I mean, it was substantial. I mean, you see some of these bigger teams doing that. HKL is a prime example. JWM is a prime example. Even in the earlier matchup with UCS against Rose, UCS kind of had the same kind of thing, although Rose stuck in there a little bit longer. And with 5 minutes and a half left in this match, the arc's still not captured. It's just kind of sitting by a city. It's like, we're going to do this live or die by what we're used to doing. We know that people that win matches sometimes hold on to the arc, so maybe that's our play here. And right now, it's basically an even match without the arc. Snow has a little bit of a point advantage. There's the capture right there. So it's 30,000 to 27,000. It's relatively basically a 3,500 point match.
I mean,
it's going to come down to provisions, Chisco.
But what was the point of holding it? Like the arc doesn't spawn for
there was no
for
point.
8 minutes. So like that, there was certainly, at least for one march, like a wasted 3 minutes there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that was a wasted 12 minutes. Should have captured it 15 minutes ago and captured another arc, because it's that easy to do.
Right.
with what we've seen. I mean, they should have captured 4 arcs this match. It's almost like the arc would not have been contested. I don't understand why they didn't capture 4 instead of 2. They're gonna possibly lose this match, and it's actually pretty close to happening. I can almost guarantee you it's going to be very close.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they lose by less than 7,500 points, whoever made that strategy to keep the arc, that's the culprit.
Yeah. Right there. Right there. And like, the point I was just making also is that, like, if that was their plan, right, it still takes like, 8 minutes before the arc respawns and a minute and a half with skills to march it at the absolute fastest possible time, right? So they should have at least capped it with 9.5 minutes remaining in the game to free up the marches that were back there guarding it, which, like, it just like seems like it really defeats the point of having the arc. I don't know, man.
That March provisioning for an extra 3 minutes might have scored a 50, 60, 100 points, maybe.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel uncomfortable for JWM. I'm starting to feel really uncomfortable for JWM.
I mean, right now the delta is still about 3,500 points with 3.5 minutes down. JWM just did take the Shrine of War away from Snow on the top lane here, and it looks like Bog Down being used on the bottom lane against the Desert Altar area, slowing the reinforcements on the Desert Altar, JWM trying to slow the reinforcements from Snow to possibly try and take this and halt the 150 points per minute that this building gives Snow, which is critical. That's 450 points with 3 minutes left that this building would not perceive. Now, with that in mind, Chiscool, here's the thing. 3 minutes left. After the 3 minutes mark is done, which we just passed, there is really no point, unless you know you can take it, to have marches going after buildings, especially defending or retaking, okay? Because you're not going to start generating points for 3 minutes. If we're past the 3 minute mark, basic mathematics, they're not going to start generating points until after the match is over. So you can stop doing that, okay? That means any march that is not doing a taking of a structure away from your enemy needs to be provisioning. That's the only point generating activity left in this game. I would send everybody to provisions or to provision kill, one of the two.
Yeah, that has to be. I mean, oh gosh, I'm so uncomfortable. I'm feeling really, oh my gosh.
500-point game.
It's so close, and it's going to come down to these provisions. It's going to be unbelievable.
2 minutes left, Chiscool. We just need to pay attention to the cities. We need to pay attention to the marches that are coming away and from the cities. We're going to look at, I mean, at this point, it looks like Snow did drop that Desert Altar at the top, but it's only about a minute's worth of points. 150 is not that big of a deal. Right now, JWM has a 600-point lead. I guarantee you we're going to see a 37,000 point total from both of these teams very shortly.
I mean, this match is already decided. It's just playing out now. Right?
Yeah.
We don't know who it is, but like, there's nothing anyone can do now. Right? Like, as long as the caravanners return home, right? Like, there's very little that can be done.
Snow is winning.
Oh my gosh. Snow is up. Snow is up with a minute and 10 seconds left against JWM. Two-time contenders for the number 1 spot. Two-time contenders for the number 1 spot. Snow, the massive underdog in this matchup, in the process of denying JWM entry to the top 4. This is actually happening.
This will be the first time JWM hasn't made it to the finals in an Osiris League playoffs. And I can tell you one thing. If we go back and look on this very channel at the matches from JWM, even last season, even the season before, you can almost identically see the same game plan. It's almost identical. And with now a 2,000-point positive delta for Snow, somebody just used Divine Aid, which
they're showing off.
I don't know if it's the show off
extra points.
Maybe they're trying to get closer to a caravan. I mean,
they got 16 teleports. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's just spending the points. 20 seconds left. 2,000 point differential. 10 seconds remaining.
Seconds. Just cool.
2,500 points.
Let's just watch it. You have to just watch it. There it is. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. This has actually
there it is.
Happened. This has actually happened. Snow with a massive upset in the top 8. JWM, the mightiest warriors in the center for the arc I have ever seen, falling to the outmaneuvering of Snow. What an incredible matchup. I cannot believe that we're looking at this incredible outcome. Dragothian, what are your thoughts here?
So there's two things I want to say. First off, we pointed it out from the beginning. The holding of the arc was a mistake. This was an amazing matchup to watch. I had the luxury of knowing a few people in Snow, having fought against them in KVK last season, and having friends that had went there, understanding what they were doing. So some of the things that I was saying was, even though it sounded prophetic, I kind of knew already. So bear with me on that. But huge win for Snow. JWM, I think we saw their strength. We always have seen their strength, but they didn't play to that strength, which is what we were commenting on the entire match. They just could not get out of their own way. If they would have just captured one more arc, they would have won. Something else I wanted to say before I let you kind of take it away. And I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder, so I apologize. But the other match, I'll just say this. There's a shocker in the other match, if you want to go take a peek.
Oh my. Wait. Okay, let's go look together. Yeah. In fact, let's jump back to the caster's booth. Dragothian, I'm going to bring you with me, so don't go anywhere. Let's jump to the caster's booth.
Reaction time, baby.
All right, we go to Osiris League. What do we have here? Oh my gosh. Look at this. OV, the season 1 champion, saying, just you wait, HKL. This season, we're back. Oh my gosh. I just can't believe this. OV overthrowing the season 2 champion, HKL. Wow. So I lost a few Oryx in that matchup, and boy, am I glad I didn't put more Oryx on it. I'm glad I held some in reserve. Oh, wow. But I mean, I kind of went 10 for 1 on my Snow bet there. So it all worked out. It all worked out. So yeah, what the heck just happened?
So we saw two heavyweights. We just saw 2 heavyweights go down in the round of 8.
Well, let's talk about HKL as a heavyweight for a second here. HKL, they are the favored pick, but when we say heavyweight, it's not. They were outpowered as well, right? Like by power, they're underdogs. They're not like, to my understanding, like massive, crazy spenders like our JWMs of the world, who are like monster tier open fielders, right? So HKL looks like they got outmaneuvered, and outmaneuvering is the thing they do best.
What OV does best is capture arcs, and I haven't seen the match, so I do want to go take a peek at it, but I have to think that OV out-arced HKL. HKL is kind of like JWM in a sense that they're always aggressive, they always have the forward presence, they're always rallying. They rally like I've never seen any other alliance rally. They rally back to back to back to back to back to back. They don't wait for your rallier to come back. They are constantly sending rallies. But OV, knowing that, again, if it was me to plan a strategy against HKL, I would make sure that my defense is solid, maybe grab a couple of the outposts every once in a while, maybe take a structure or two if we really have the forces to do it, but really just go all in on arc and provisions. That would be my play, because playing the structure game against HKL is just not going to work for you. That's their bread and butter. Just like with JWM's bread and butter really being the arc. It's like it just blows my mind that JWM didn't do the thing they're the most strong at more often at their own expense on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, it feels again like they stuck with the plan despite seeing what was actually happening. Yeah. Which, look, and on the topic of sticking with plans, you know who's really good at adjusting on the fly?
OV.
Better than any other team I've ever seen. It's OV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better than any other team I have ever seen adjusting to what's happening as OV in a way that I've never seen literally any other team be able to do. So OV advancing with Rose, Snow advancing with 374. I did not foresee this as the final four. Did you?
Not even close. I mean, if we had some kind of a bracket system where, like, like March Madness has, in the States and things like that, if we had a November Madness Osiris League playoffs bracket system, everybody would have just got busted on this last round. Everybody who picked HKL would have been busted. Everybody who picked JWM would have been busted. Nobody that I know in their right mind who didn't pick because they liked the color of the Alliance flag, for instance, would have ever picked these four in the finals. I think that there were some solid sneaky play moves that people might have picked Snow and or Rose, but as good as OV is, right, and we just talked about how good they are at the arc, HKL, like we said at the beginning of the match, they just haven't been, broken. This was the week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've ever lost until now,
Nope.
have they?
Nope. First loss.
They've not. HKL first loss. Wow. Not even making it to the top four. That is astonishing. It speaks to the quality of gameplay this season. Everybody's elevating their game. The teams you see here are top tier. They've been doing some fierce work. Some absolutely fierce work. And look, to have gotten as far as they have, these teams that have been defeated are extremely good, right? Like JWM is an extremely good team.
I mean,
HKL is an extremely good team. In the realm of Horus, this is an incredible outcome. Very impressive. Look, what are your thoughts for these teams going into the next week?
well, I hope for one that they're in separate time slots. That's my first request from the Lilith gods. Okay. Secondly,
please let us cast them both.
Yeah, can we please cast the both of them? Secondly, this looks to be, I don't want to say the new guard, right? I mean, HKL and JWM are both still top tier cream of the crop teams. I mean, they're not going away. They're going to be here next season. I guarantee it. But the teams like this, and Rose went pretty deep last season, but came up a little short. OV, same thing, real deep last season, came up short. Snow didn't quite go as deep into the playoffs, but being in the round of four, I mean, what else do you expect? And K374 is a relative unknown in the Osiris League playoff system. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of these matchups.
Yeah, I mean, OV is old guard, and they're back, baby. They're back, and they're saying, we're back. We're taking that temple. That's ours, man. We were there first season. We lost it second season. We're back for a third. If you enjoyed this live stream, subscribe to the channel, throw a like on this video, and hey, you can check out both Dragothian and myself, link in the description, for our own channels. Recommend that you do that. Consider subscribing to our channels as well for lots of Rise of Kingdoms coverage in and between Ark of Osiris matches, as well as on this channel. There's been videos showing up teaching you the game, so if you're newer to Rise of Kingdoms, you certainly don't want to miss those tips and tricks to help you get value. Dragothian, final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I think you nailed it. That was perfect, and I'm looking forward to seeing the round of four coming up next Sunday. It's going to be amazing.
We'll see you next Sunday at the round of four on this channel. And until then, good luck placing your Oryx. May the odds be in your favor, and we'll see you next time, Governors.